me?
chatty. I hear you. I hear you.
Can you hear me? Hi guys on the chat. Can we get a quick sound check? Sound check
Sound check.
by Akashi and Cassie. Sound check. Can you guys
Okay.
hear us okay? Give it a thumbs up if you hear us okay before we get
Yes,
going.
ma'am. Cindy,
Okay, we
let us
can
know.
hear you. Yay! And we got that from Chad Smith, who's like the pro at sound. How you doing, Cass? On this
Doing
lovely Monday
good. Doing
evening.
good. Doing
Good.
good.
I'm really excited to be here.
I told
We've
you.
been talking about it, and I know that I'm starting to be I've been on for like 3 nights in a row. I'm gonna start taking gaps because I don't want people to be like, oh Lord of mercy. It's
Well,
her
we love
again.
you.
It's her
We love
again.
you.
I don't know
But
what
you
happened
do
with the
need to
accent. Huh?
rest.
You what?
We love you, but you do need to rest.
Oh, I do need to
We
rest
love
every once
seeing
in
you.
a while. I love you too, but I really look forward to this because these are different topics than what we're used to, and we do want to talk about something real quick before we say hi to the chat. So we were freaking out. First Floor tells me the other day that we had our premiere last week with Marilyn and UFOs. And it was, the mysteries around Maryland conspiracies. And he told us, you guys got tagged. And I'm like, what? So I went on there, and if you look at our show, it shows like this, suicide hotline and a warning about the topics. And one thing that Cassie and I just wanted to share, first of all, I did make fun of it because it's funny that of all people that Cassie and I would be like sparking controversy, but I did want to bring it up because it is interesting. I did go after that and look at a lot of documentaries and shows about Marilyn that talk about the mystery of her death, and they talk about suicide, and none of them were flagged, but ours did. But I do want to say that even though it did, I don't want you guys to think of that as any type of, hey, these people are dangerous or something. These are very serious topics. I mean, you can feel it. I don't know if you guys hear it in Cassie's voice when she, does her readings about this. This is, yeah, I want
But
to
we
make
do
sure I'm
it
letting
with
you see too.
respect. We do it with respect. We do it with
Exactly.
respect. And, we wanted to respect Marilyn, and I don't think we did anything dangerous. I mean, we
No,
didn't make fun of suicide or
no. We didn't
we
make
did.
light of it. We didn't make fun of it. If anything, we argued that she might not have. But we just we just kind of wanted to bring it up because the topics, you'll see what's coming up next week. I'm so excited. The topics are going to be tough sometimes, but we do it with respect, and we just make sure that we don't hurt anybody's feelings or anybody's memories. So anyway, that's a disclaimer by Chris, who decided to talk like this today. What is up with me? I like talking like I have a puppet. I'm gonna have to get a day. Okay, let's say hi to the chat before
We got somebody here. We got Lenny here. We
we
got
have
Lenny. I love
peoples.
you. I love you all.
Okay, I'm gonna start showing names, and you just call them out besides your own. So we got Ontario Adventures. You take it.
Ontario Adventures. Welcome. Freelancing Tips for Beginners by Christy. Welcome.
This
Thank you
is
for joining
greetings.
us.
This is ASMR greetings with Cassie.
Jakey. Hi,
Jake.
Jake. Hi, Jake.
Hey, Jakey. Sweetly
Sweet
morbid. I love
Morbid.
Sweetly morbid. They're
I love
so
Sweet Morbid.
spooky. I
He's
gotta
got
say,
one.
Spooky
Got Spooky.
Morales. My
We love you,
brother.
Spooky.
Mi hermano Spooky.
We love our Spooky.
Spookito. I love Spookito. Hold on. My darling husband's in the
Stuart.
house, honey. As I wave to him, later on, you're gonna have to throw me some snacks. No, just kidding. Like literally, I want like Hershey's Kisses. I'm not asking for dinner here. Okay. Oh, Blair's here. Hi, hon.
Sharon. Hi, Sharon. I love you. Sharon.
Ba 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 ba. Oh, we got that's a new person, right?
Get
Get
Spooky
Spooky
Society
Society. That
Stephanie, thank you so much
hi.
for coming. Thank
I've
you.
never seen you. That's so cool. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Chad Smith.
Chatty, where's our Chatty?
Chado.
There's Chatty.
Chatty and
No, our
Chatty
Chatty
and
baby here.
Chatty. And let's see. Oh, lovely. Hectic Stargazer Cindy.
Cindy.
Hi, honey. Such a sweetie. Such a sweetie. You want to take that
Slimlet
one?
in the house. Hi, Slim.
Swimlet. Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
Oh,
Says
thank you guys so
Swimlet.
much for joining us.
Oh, Matt is here. We
Matt,
got
here's our
people.
Cat. Oh, you guys,
And
thank
Meg's
you.
Mysteries. I
Thanks.
love Meg. Meg
I
loves
love
me.
Meg.
I love Meg. We're going to be friends. We're going to be friends forever.
Love
It's
you,
so
Meg.
cool. Love you. The Fix It ladies in
Thanks,
the
everybody. Thank
house.
you so
I
much.
fix
Thank you
it
so
all.
much.
I don't fix anything, but if I do, I will go check out the Fix It lady. Three Souls
Awesome.
Paranormal.
Steven. Hey,
Hi.
Steven.
So good to see you. Did I say hi to Matt? I say hi to Matt, right? Second star?
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
amazing.
Okay, let's see. Do we I think I'm caught up? Oh my God! My sister,
Lenny, can't forget Lenny.
Lenny! Mwah! I
Lenny,
love you,
darling.
Lenny.
We
I
love
love you,
you.
Lenny. Oh no, there's more peoples.
Ah, so amazing.
AJK, hi. Who did you see? Did you see someone?
No, I saw them
Good.
all.
Oh, you're like, I see people. AJK, Neo, hi,
So,
Neo
Mia Adventures
Adventures.
too.
So glad
Thank you
you're
guys.
here. And okay, am I missing anyone? I think we're caught up in okay, I think we're caught up. Hi everybody. We're
Got a treat.
so glad you guys are here. So, okay, so do we want to go through? Let's kick off what we're about to do.
Let's
We're
do
gonna
it.
show, we're gonna do it. Okay, so we're
Let's
gonna
do it.
start the show. We're working on the format, but we're gonna follow the same format as we did last week. So first of all, we're gonna show you a piece. This is a collab. Me and Cassie, the voice of an angel over there, and the, video,
Thank you.
whatever the heck I do,
I do have a tech
to
because it's
make
all
it
tech.
all
It's so
come
magic.
together. So our piece on the Lindbergh baby. So tonight we're going to be talking about the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby. Any thoughts on that before I turn on the video? Lindbergh baby
No.
kidnapping. You're about to
No.
find out, guys, because we're about to play you the stories. It's kidnapping in 1932, and you'll see as you go to the video that it was a huge deal at the time, huge. And so with no further ado, I'm going to go
Crime
ahead
of
and
the
knock this
century.
over. And let
1932.
me, you guys on chat, don't want to go too long with it being off, so let me know if everything's okay on audio. So here you go.
Was born on June 22nd, 1930. Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr. was born on June 22nd, 1930, on his mother Anne's 24th birthday. The son of Charles Lindbergh, the famous aviator, and Anne Morrow Lindbergh, the daughter of a diplomat, baby Charlie was destined for fame. His parents could have never imagined just how famous their baby would become, nor could they have imagined the tragedy that awaited him, making American headlines for months. The kidnapping launched decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. Who was responsible for baby Charlie's death? Though a suspect was identified, tried, convicted, and executed, mystery still surrounds the infamous Lindbergh baby kidnapping and murder case of 1932. In 1932, Charles and his wife Anne moved to a beautiful 390-acre estate on the rural outskirts of Hopewell, New Jersey, staying in and out of a mansion they were having built in hopes of staying out of the media spotlight. It was not to be. Charles became famous 5 years earlier as an aviator. in a historic nonstop flight across the Atlantic from New York to Paris in 34 hours. And now he would be making headlines again. Baby Charlie was suffering from a cold during the last weekend of February of 1932. On Tuesday, March 1st, Betty Gow, Charlie's nurse, rubbed medication on the baby's chest to relieve his congestion. At about 7:30 p.m., Betty and Ann put him to bed. Charles returned home from work around 8 p.m. And then, having a late dinner with his wife, Charles and Ann spent a quiet evening in their Hopewell, New Jersey home, sitting in front of the fire. It was a chilly night, and during that time, Charles claimed he heard a thud, like something had fallen. His wife heard nothing. At about 10 p.m., Betty went to check on baby Charlie, and this is where she made a horrible discovery. Finding Charlie's bedroom window open, she quickly closed it, not wanting the baby to get a chill. She then went to the crib to check on the baby, finding he was gone. Horrified, she ran downstairs to tell the Lindberghs. She thought maybe Ann had grabbed the baby, or that maybe Charles was playing another trick on them by hiding the baby. And when Charles yelled, "Ann, they have taken our baby," Betty knew he was serious. Mr. Lindbergh found a barely English-written note laying by the windowsill, demanding $50,000 for baby Charlie. Charles demanded Ann and Betty to touch nothing so the police could check for fingerprints. Charles stated he grabbed his rifle and headed outside to look for the kidnapper. He started on the side of the house by the nursery window, finding a broken makeshift ladder. The police were called immediately. Roadblocks were established, cars were searched, neighbors were questioned. The Lindbergh's home was soon full of reporters, photographers, and police. They searched the nursery for clues, finding clumps of muddy soil from footprints. They also found 2 indentions from the ladder, along with footprints in the mud outside the nursery window. No blood or fingerprints were found inside or outside the nursery. As soon as 10:30 p.m. that evening, news stations were broadcasting the story to the nation. New Jersey police assumed charge of the investigation, appointed by FBI director. Lindbergh positioned himself in charge immediately, without much resistance from the colonel that was in charge of the state police and the investigation. And this was common in those times. Once, it seemed nothing could shock America, filled with gangsterism and the Great Depression. But the Lindbergh kidnapping opened the country's heart. Offers of help poured from every corner of the United States. Not just it being that Charles Lindbergh was a hero, but that every parent could share in the horror of having a child stolen away. Ann Lindbergh even gave out a diet for the kidnappers to read: half a cup of orange juice, cooked cereal and vegetables, 2 tablespoons of stewed fruit. Every newspaper published it. From his jail cell in Chicago, Al Capone offered to help in the search, insisting that with his underworld contacts, he could free the boy with a single phone call. The Lindbergh Law was put into effect, making kidnapping a federal crime and punishable by death. In the Bronx, a retired school principal named John Condon offered to act as a go-between to exchange money for the baby. He set up a meeting in a cemetery with a shadowy man who wrote the ransom notes. At one meeting, the stranger asked Condon if he would burn if the baby was dead. Lindbergh authorized full payment of $50,000, which was delivered to the man in the cemetery on April 2nd in return for a written slip of information. There would be 13 more ransom notes. The final note said that the baby was located on a boat named Nellie in Cape Cod. Upon immediate search, joined by Lindbergh himself, flying up and down the Massachusetts coast, no boat or baby was found. America kept up hope for baby Charlie's return. In the comic world, Dick Tracy fulfilled everyone's fantasy by rescuing the kidnapped son of a beloved hero, and then beating the tar out of him who committed the crime. But in the real world, baby Charlie was dead. He had been dead the instant he was taken from his Hopewell home. On May 12th, truck driver William Allen pulled over to relieve himself. In the woods, just 4 miles from the Lindbergh home, William stumbled over a mound of earth and leaves that concealed a small skeletal body. The coroner identified the body as Charles Lindbergh, Jr. Cause of death, external violence to the head. Even in death, baby Charlie couldn't rest. Photographers snuck into the funeral home to take pictures of his body to sell on the streets. It took 2.5 years to catch a break in the case. Serial numbers on the ransom money had been recorded and passed to businesses and banks across the country. One bill finding its way to a Bronx gas station. The gas station attendant writing down the license plate of the driver on the bill. It was traced to a car belonging to 35-year-old Bruno Richard Hauptmann, who lived a few blocks away. Hauptmann was taken in for questioning. He turned out to be a German immigrant and a carpenter. For 2 years not working and living independently off money that he had earned playing the stock market. In front of his wife Anna and their 1-year-old son, the cops tore through his apartment. Hauptmann stayed cool and claimed his innocence. But he lied. He told the cops they would find no ransom money. In his garage, cops found thousands of dollars of the Lindbergh marked money, and they also found a missing floorboard. In the gap that they found, a plank from the kidnapper's ladder, matching it perfectly. Hauptmann's handwriting was a perfect match to the ransom notes. Tool marks on the ladder found at the scene matched Hauptmann's tools. In January of 1935, Hauptmann went to trial. More than 10,000 people surrounded the Main Street courthouse on days of dramatic testimony. Many reporters covered the case for the New York paper. And even in the 1930s, people wanted to make money off of tragedies that made a mama grieve. And pennies were sold for 10 cents that were engraved with the Lindbergh trial. Another man was selling little replica ladders. It was quite a scene. Hauptmann was soon the villain that the public referred to as a baby killer, a monster doomed the moment Lindbergh testified against him. Lindbergh said he could identify him from 2 words he had shouted during a random drop with Condon. Lindbergh even made him admit that he lied about having the ransom bills. The man was hired to guard Hauptmann once asked if he had compassion for Hauptmann, which he responded he believed Hauptmann was a cold-blooded killer. His facial expressions never changed, not even the day he was convicted. Hauptmann was found guilty on February 13th, 1935. He was sentenced to death by the electric chair. Under New Jersey's capital murder status, the prosecution didn't have to prove he intended to kill the baby, only that the baby died as a result of a break-in. It was never determined if the baby was clubbed over the head or died in the fall. There are many who believe Hauptmann was an innocent victim of a frame-up. That belief is just as widespread today, in an era when faith has diminished in the government and the courts. Up to present day, no one has offered definite evidence that any other person was responsible. April 3rd, 1936. Hauptmann was jolted with 3 jolts of 2,100 volts of electricity, killing him. A hearse carrying his coffin from New Jersey State Prison, with newsreel cameramen standing on roofs, capturing that captivating moment. Charles Lindbergh didn't stay around to comment. 5 months earlier, feeling embittered and hounded, he donated his Hopewell home and fled to England, seeking not privacy, but isolation. Was Bruno Hauptmann wrongly convicted and framed? Was it an inside job? Even to a public hooked on contemporary crime novels and court TV happenings and true crime, the Lindbergh case of 1932 remains endlessly fascinating.
There we go. And we're back, and now I'm unmuted. So that was really hard to make.
It was so sad, but beautiful. But it's not beautiful. But I mean, your work was beautiful. But I mean, like the whole situation is just so sad.
Yeah, the fact that this could happen, and somebody we were talking about in chat about the crowds and the public and the reaction and the fact that people are selling coins and they're selling replicas of the ladder, and it became about money, and I was telling Cassie, chat, I was telling Cassie that I almost wanted to rename the show People Suck, because sometimes humans just act we act so horribly. I mean, it's just it makes me a mouth breather. What do you think?
Trying to make money off of a baby's death. I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Anyway, and we're gonna talk about all that, but before we do that, we have to get in the right state of mind. And with that, we're gonna do that by Cassie is gonna be doing a reading, right, Cass?
Do a reading. Okay. Should I put the camera down on the cards or just leave it?
I just leave it. Just show it. Just make sure you show it on the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Just shuffle real good. Let's make sure that we think
do
about
that?
this baby. Let's see. Well, you do that. I'm gonna be popping up. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, wait. We have some music. So let us know if the music is okay.
All right,
Chat, please. She's gonna do a reading. This is the reading that we do to just figure out where to go with this. So, oh wow.
Meandering pathway. Flow.
Whoa. Okay. Pretty. That is a beautiful card.
All right. As you saunter down the pathway, you are not sure what is around the next corner, but you are relishing the moment. You gaze at the interplay of light and dark, of the leaves of the trees, and inhale the fresh air. All is well. You know you don't have to see your destination. All that is required is to enjoy the journey. When life presents you a meandering path, rather than a straight shot to a goal, you can feel frustrated. You might bemoan the fact that the path seems aimless and roundabout, and that you can't see what's ahead. And on the other hand, you can just enjoy the voyage. If life right now seems to have some sinuous curves, bends, loops, turns, don't despair. All is as it should be. And this card is suggesting you relinquish control of the path forward and just see where it takes you. You don't have to have all the answers to succeed. You don't need to know what tomorrow holds to have an astounding future. Simply just sit back and enjoy the ride. You'll get to exactly where you need to be for your highest good. Everything falls into place when you don't resist the flow of the meandering pathway of life.
Wow. Okay, so what I get out of that, and you tell me, Cass, you start because I do have some thoughts, but I want to hear your take on that because I do see some resonance to what we're about to go through because things aren't as they're not as straightforward as the potential as straightforward as it seems, and we might never get to the answers, but
I was thinking about baby Lindy, and he lived for 2 years, and I don't know, it's sad. It's really sad.
he was he had so much potential. I mean, with the family and everything that. Let me turn this down a little bit. With the fact that his father was so famous, the fact that his life. I mean, they lived in a great house. They had maids. They had nannies. They had that kid was set. He
Yeah.
was a Lindbergh. That's a huge, that was huge at the time. This guy was like the bomb in the 20s and 30s. From your research, I mean, what do you, tell us a little bit about what you found
What
from
do you
his
mean?
past before, not from his like. I know that there's other things as far as other things that Lindbergh winds up doing, which we're gonna get to in the points. But when you were doing your research as far as like his past, so he went, uh, he, you know, miraculously made that flight, from
20. So
Paris,
he became famous from the flight. He flew 23 hours straight. So
yeah,
that's, maybe he was so young back then. So it's just hard to
and I don't
say.
think anybody else had made it. I mean, it was like a suicide mission, and he seemed to kind of dig which is another thing, he really dug the risk. He signed up. One of the things I was reading, it was like, if it was a risky mission, he would just sign up for it. He was all about adventure, and I mean, he was all about the flight, and discovery,
I think that
right?
I think happening, like him becoming, a hero, American hero, kind of changed him. I mean, that's what it kind of seems like. Like he kind of changed after, getting that name, the American hero, and all the money, and I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't know him, you know what I mean? But just from what you read, like he kind of.
Uh, when I first started, I didn't know anything about the story before you and I spoke, and before you had done the recording and you did the research, and then I started looking into it, and I'm like, it's really interesting to me from first of all, I mean, the horrifying thing about this, the money, the amount of money, it still didn't make any sense. It was like, I don't think whoever, we're gonna get to some things that Lindbergh did here in a minute that are really, really
Stupid.
suspect, that are super, super shady. But it just seems like at those times they went from, you're accused to convicted. The press already had you. They already pegged him as guilty. I
Well, they
mean,
didn't want to
all
see
the papers
anybody
were
else
saying.
either. They didn't want to see like anybody else guilty. They wanted that, oh, we found him. This is who did it. And there was a lot of different little things in the case, too. Like they don't usually stay at that house during the week. They usually stay at her
Yeah,
mom's house.
I'm gonna add the points because that's one of them. But let me go through the chat and then we'll add the kind of the strange things because we kind
Yeah.
of covered the baseline, right?
Mhm.
So that will kind of drive the conversation. Let's see. Second Star Survival says, I think it was a game gone wrong. In the time of suffering, money was bad, but during the Depression, they were having a mansion built. Hmm. True. But I mean, you got to remember this guy. I mean, there was parades. Those videos were not, stock footage. There were, a lot of them were the parades that they threw that he was a part of. He was an American hero. It was like an astronaut, to them. So, but, how did he make all this money? Because he did spend,
And I think
eh,
her
he
family had
did
money
spend some
too.
time abroad. We'll talk about that. Um, Here was Lynn had a comment on the card. This card sounds like it was delivering into the mind of the perpetrator. I love Lynn. Very good. Yeah, delivering into the mind. Oh, okay. I get where she's going. Now I'm like, she always had some good insights. I love her. She loves me. We're friends. Let's see. The same today. It is the same today. Media and the public make money of people suffering until it's played out like Bonet, John Benet Ramsey, right? The Benet case who killed that child. John Benet, or is it a Bonnet? He's talking about John Benet or Bonnet. Is that a different case? Who killed that kid?
John Bonet
Just talking
case.
about John Benet. Yeah, it's the John Benet Ramsey. Yeah, and they make the story. John Benet is similar. It's like the perfect baby, the perfect family. How could this happen? There's a ransom note. But there's some things that don't make any sense. So let's go ahead and pop that up so we can talk to it. So some things just don't sound right. Let's see. So I'll read them and then we'll talk to them. So Charles and Anne were staying with Anne's parents during the week and on the Hopewell property on weekends to check on the renovations. But nobody but Charles, Anne, and the butler and the maids knew they would be on the Hopewell property on a weekday. So you found that out? So nobody
Yes.
really knew except for these
Them. Yes.
particular people. So how often? Okay, so it was, I mean, I guess you could. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be a skeptic, but it's like I'm gonna think it's like okay, if you follow patterns, if somebody was watching over time from afar, or from a corner, I don't know. I mean,
It's
could they
true.
have really figured it out? There's my snacks have been delivered. Thank you, Stuart. Hershey's Kisses. Um, this is freaky. Violet Sharp. So the lady in the video was the nanny. But Violet Sharp, who was Anne's mother's maid, killed herself after the baby's remains were found, and she was to be questioned again. So she was already questioned once. Was she like stressed out about it? Did you find anything about Violet Sharp? That's the lady that killed herself.
When it comes down to it, they're trying to say, oh, that had nothing to do with the case. But she was questioned pretty hard. And then when the baby's remains were found, they were going to question her and the butler again. Well, she took the poison and.
Well, that's right. She took poison, right?
Yes.
And
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Did she know something?
Well, I mean, you could say that had something to do with it. You could say it could be grief. It could be, because
That's
they
true.
still had
Yeah.
hope. And in some of the clippings, it showed that, people were trying to make money left and right. People are playing with this case, and they were giving hope where hope was not, there was nothing really to be hopeful about.
Yeah.
And then the Lindbergh butler also died the next year of his sickness, so he couldn't be questioned again. So
Those two
we'll
were
never know
gone.
there. Those two were
Mhm.
gone, and then so the only one left was Betty, was her name, and then Anne. So baby Lindy's nanny Betty Gow found what looked like Lindy's thumb guard out in the driveway, smashed 1 month after his disappearance. Okay, explain that one to me, because when
So
yeah.
back in those days, it was a really weird looking thing that they put on the babies before they went to sleep, like some kind of little
Hmm.
thing on their hand, and then it like somehow locked into the crib or something. I don't know. So they couldn't put their thumbs in their mouth. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay.
I'm sure to give you a
And
picture.
you,
They're so weird. So he did wear a little thumb guard, and she found what she thought was his thumb guard a month later in the driveway. A
hmm,
month later.
months later. I mean, I guess again, I'm trying to think, playing devil's advocate and trying to just think, yeah, people might have been moving. I don't know, might have been moving
Yeah,
stuff. Were they?
exactly.
Because I don't know how long they stayed. I can't remember, but I mean, they stayed for a while because he stayed through the case, and that took years. So, right, to get him, to find him, it took several years. The
It was like
investigation, the
2 years.
ransom notes.
2 years.
Yeah. So here's where it gets really creepy, guys. Charles was a trickster and made comments to people that were quite unpleasant, mainly to Anne, throwing water on her when she would put on nice dresses, and hiding baby Lindy in closets and telling Anne and the maids the baby had been kidnapped. Riddle me that. I mean,
Who
I
does
don't,
that? Who does
not a fan
that?
of coincidences. I don't know. I mean, who does something like that? And
So he did it a couple times before, hiding the baby
mhm.
in closets, telling them the baby has been kidnapped. So of course, they're going to think, well, are you playing a joke on us, or And then he
Well,
says, I don't know. I mean,
uh,
so
this is where you start to
I
question, do we have like a very manipulative person doing something for reasons unknown? I don't know. Maybe for convenience, maybe, we'll talk about, yeah, let's go to the next slide because this will kind of bring it all together. Um, Lindbergh had an enthusiasm for eugenics and the use of biology and breeding to produce a superior human race. He considered his genes even in choosing women of similar background as his. Some theorize that with baby Lindy being diagnosed with rickets, where his bones were brittle and he could barely stand and his toes overlapped and he had a large head, that Lindbergh considered inferior genes. Baby Lindy had to take doses of vitamin D and had to use a sun lamp. Friends of the family were horrified when Lindbergh would throw couch cushions at baby Lindy as he tried to stand and knock the baby over. Again, like strange behavior from the parent. Nothing I would ever expect from anybody dealing with a toddler, or any child or any other
yeah,
human being. Um,
doesn't look good. I mean,
no,
it is.
what any other details? I mean, so he was just diagnosed with rickets. That's all they knew. It's like, so he was having some kind of physical illnesses.
The
Like,
rickets.
were those like, or rickets? I don't know anything about rickets. I should have looked into that. Does anybody know about rickets in the chat? Rickets, everyone. By the way, hold on. Let me just say hello to a couple of new people that popped in. So we got PSB Odyssey. Hi, PSB. And you guys, please, if you have any theories or ideas, or just comments on things that you've seen, feel free to share them. Second Star Survival Matt, he wanted to test her loyalty to him. It was like that because he was a hero. He thought so many people wanted his wealth. Interesting. That's that's messed up. Interesting. Hi, Hillbillies Creativity. It's so nice to see you. Welcome to the show. And that's it. So okay, so now
But was that
go ahead.
enough?
Hmm.
Was that
Hmm.
enough to not want your baby, though? I mean, I don't really know how he was thinking in his head and how he was, though. I mean, was it enough to want that baby gone? Or
The thing that kills me is the threats or the game of hiding the baby. The other
yeah,
thing that you gotta in that I'm not trying. Here we go. My husband genetic disease that results in weak bones in children. So we were potentially facing. Thank you, sweetheart. We were potentially facing debilitating disease. I mean, look at people with brittle bones. Things happen. Now, so you got to go back a little bit, and I'm not trying to stir stuff up, but if you go back to watching a documentary on, I guess, biography and kind of what drove him, and so when he was doing all these as part of that post that they put him on, because he became this big hero, right? So
uh-huh.
of course the government's like, oh, we're going to own you now. We're going to put a post. You're going to put you on the post, and you're going to be able to go around the world or whatever. And he winds up going to Germany. And then he comes back with very much a message of don't, we should not go to war. Really pushing Roosevelt administration. To not get engaged, and to the point, and I remember seeing a quote, and I wish I had it on my screen, but it was like basically that he blamed our engagement in the war on three factors: the British, the Jewish, and the Roosevelt administration. And that right there doesn't sit well with me, and it tells you a lot. So, however, when Pearl Harbor happened and we went to war, he went straight into, this is my role, as his ambassador, whatever, I can't remember what his position was, but he was the face, he was that hero's face that the crowds crave.
Yeah.
So, but
Wanted to be a
uh,
hero? I don't know. I
yeah.
mean, I'm not laughing at, just,
Now, he also, I mean, not that in 1930s, okay, things happen, but he also was known to have like many, many relationships and potentially, and I think not potential, it was actual many kids in Europe from multiple women, right? Did
yeah,
you hear about that one? Yeah. Tell us the
yeah.
skip on the spill the tea on that one, Cassie.
Okay, so
Cassie,
they moved
tell us.
to, him and his wife had moved, but okay, so let's see. I believe he was like, what did it say? Like 60? How old was he when he started seeing all these other women? So there could have been
Mm-hmm.
more, but anyways, so not
Mm-hmm.
only was he married to Anne, he was seeing a hat maker named Bridget in Germany. He was seeing her. He saw her probably 3 times a year, as he
Mm-hmm.
saw, and they had 3 kids together. He had 3 kids with another woman. And not only did he have 3 kids with another woman,
Mm-hmm.
he also was seeing her sister, Marietta, a couple times a
Oh my
year. And he had 2 kids with
God.
her.
What a dog.
Not
Oh
only
my
was he seeing
God.
Bridget and Marietta, he was also seeing his personal secretary, and they had 2 kids together. So he had 6 kids with Anne, and then
Hmm.
3 with Bridget, and then 2 with the other 2. So he had 13 kids.
And Anne
13.
was fine with it because you saw at the end of my video, it shows like later in life, they were still together. She was, I mean, either she didn't know or now she was an interesting character. We'll talk about her in a minute too. But Meg's Mystery says he was a rat. Yes, indeed, Meg. Love you, Meg. Kisses. This is nice. Blue hair, and you're so sweet. Stuart, you're smart because he's Nag Takashi. And I put it, can I put it up on screen so I can go, that's so cute. But no, I love you. Thank
I
you. Because then my
love
husband says, yes, hearts. Or not yes. I just kind of assumed it was yes. But now I'm embarrassed because he could have said hell no. But back to Lindbergh. Um, so he had like all these very, oh, that Anne, that's where I was gonna go. Anne was interesting because he definitely, one of your statements that you had made was talking about how he looked for people that were like matched, like they were kind of his equal, from race perspective. And Anne was very interesting because she had, a social status, and they met during one of the trips, and she was flying those gliders. She was like his co-pilot, his radio, his navigator and stuff. She was very hands-on, to the point of probably she looked very uncomfortable during most of the footage. But again, she had her role. She was like playing, she was the wife of this hero, and she was going to be right there with him, knocking step. What do you think of Anne? What was your feel on Anne? What are your feels?
Anne was very, very, very smart, I think. Like you said, and she was, she was out there just like him, right? Driving the planes, and he was started out by seeing her older sister. He saw her for a couple months, and then she.
Then he's like, never mind.
He started to see that she had a mental illness. He turned to Anne. He started seeing Anne. And then around that time when they were dating, the younger sister had gotten some kind of, I think the parents had gotten a letter saying that they were going to kidnap the youngest daughter, and they wanted $50,000. Nothing else did come of that. But isn't that weird how when he gets into the family, so, the parents get a letter saying, they're going to take their youngest daughter, and they wanted $50,000. So that was kind of weird, I thought.
But wasn't 50,000? Yeah, wasn't 50,000 what was in this?
Yeah, they started out at 50,000 for the baby Lindy, and then they changed it to 70,000. Yeah. The weird thing is Charles didn't want the money to be all written down and given, so what the cops did was they gave the ransom money to the kidnappers, but they had it all like marked, and Charles didn't want that, but they went ahead and did it anyways. They're like, no, we're doing it. So why wouldn't he want his baby found? Why wouldn't he want, like, he didn't want. Yeah, he didn't want the money.
Why wouldn't you want the money marked? Yeah, why wouldn't you want the money marked? That's like,
Yes.
And were there like details of the house that only somebody that had really been there would know? I mean, I gotta say, the whole plank from the garage is pretty incriminating, but it's almost too obviously incriminating.
Who would know that that's where the baby's room is? Who would know that? No stranger, really? Would they know that that's the nursery?
You had to, and they were not, so they didn't know each other. So
No.
he had never really been in the house, I guess, unless he had somebody that told him. It's like somebody mentioned earlier, was it an inside job? It might have been an inside job because there are things that just, the coincidences, and it's like the way things had to have gone down. So she died, she, I assume, being Anne, probably, that died, yeah. Meg's Mysteries, Anne had to know something. I mean, she knew her. How do you find it acceptable that your husband jokes about hiding your baby and the baby being kidnapped?
Well,
I don't get that.
Know.
I mean, I know that it was a different society where you were supposed to just say, okay, yes,
she wrote a book.
yes,
Sorry.
Huh? Go ahead. No, please do.
She wrote a book, and it was showing a lot of the letters she wrote to her mom, and she was trying to paint him as a perfect dad. I mean, maybe he was a good dad, but people said, why was she trying to paint him so perfect when a lot of people would come from the friends of the family, saw him differently with the baby, but she wrote letters to her mom, like, Charles is doing this with baby Lindy, and Charles is doing that, and and they're like, why would she paint him so different than what we all saw? It's just weird, and there's just so many little things.
Unless you were involved in it somehow, or unless I mean, because
Was she embarrassed,
if
maybe?
if he found her as an equal, then did she match? I mean, and she supported him along the way, all along the way. She looked uncomfortable to me, but that's just nonverbal. So I mean, she might have always had that resting, uncomfortable face. See how I changed that? Didn't say the B word, but so I mean, I don't know if she was just like that, but I mean, she just if she was kind of aligned in his beliefs, and you have in this is unthinkable that any human being with any little even bit of heart would ever consider this, but seeing a child that could be potentially disabled and you're in the public eye, and is it more, is it, or did he drop it, the baby?
Was he
Did
trying to?
Lindbergh,
Yeah,
was he just trying to, it was this part of a twisted game, and but
that's another thing.
and he dropped the baby. And I, but then he would have had I mean, there's so many things that he would have had to do. That's where it's like I go back to this reminds me a little bit of the UFO discussions, like, because it can go either way. Because the other side is you got
Was
the
it a hoax
garage,
gone wrong? Or was it a kidnapping
huh?
gone wrong? Was it a hoax, maybe,
Yeah.
from him that gone wrong? Was it a kidnapping gone wrong? Like, we'll never know. Yeah, the baby's skull was crushed, but they don't know if it was from the fall or, from abuse. And
Yeah, and this is where the how did the well, I guess at the time I'm trying to think autopsy wise if they would have been able to really tell the difference between blunt trauma, like forced by a weapon, versus
that's
I
true.
would think that the impact would be different. I'm not going to get graphic, but I'm just saying biology. I would think the impact would be different, but unless hit his head on the ladder or something like that, that
Yeah.
you know that
They
I'm not
couldn't tell. Yeah, they couldn't tell what the difference. So he was found like the 2 months later, 4.5 miles from the house, out in the woods.
Mhm.
So he didn't get very far, and he was,
Did they
yeah.
determine time
And then the
relative
time,
to the time that he was kidnapped? That they had a time of death, an
yeah,
approximate time of death?
pretty much the day of the kidnapping, he was gone. So they think during the fall.
So the day of the kidnapping, and then all these ransom notes are coming out of everywhere. But then I go back to where we started on the show. It's like I believe if we as a species are just horrifying because we turned it into a circus about money, a circus about entertainment, a circus, a circus about the, and it went from, I was watching the timeline from the time that he was found guilty to the time that he was immediately sentenced to death, and it happened. It was like,
See, my thing is,
now that's unthinkable that you go from that to that to that,
there was
so
a lot of
quickly. It was
evidence.
like,
There was a
mhm.
lot of evidence against him, but was the evidence planted, or was it, I mean, there was a lot of evidence. But like I said, I don't know if it was planted or he did have the money, and he said he had gotten it from a partner in business, that he had to hold it because he was going away to another country. When he went away to another country, he died, which they checked that out, and it was
Yeah.
true. So there was a
Well,
lot of evidence.
I mean, there is a lot. There was definitely a lot of evidence that you can't. I mean, at the plank coming from his garage, it's just not one piece that I have an issue with. It's a collective, of all of them. You're like that scale starts to go. So, but they said they found bones of this child. So how long was the child missing? Because it takes a long time to decay. Well, remember, they did take a long time because it was all over the news.
So they
People were
found it
hunting for it. I mean,
2 months
enough
later,
for 2 months. And
about 2 months.
so you have a baby, small, still forming. I mean, yeah. So there's Stuart. He's like our resident fact checker. He said a little bit
Little
over
over
2
2 months.
months, a
Thank you,
little over
Stuart.
2 months. So yeah, I mean, in the fact that it was just a trucker, it wasn't even a search party. I mean, at the time with the guy that found them, you said it was like a guy that stopped to, take a break. And so a search party didn't find him, but he was right there.
Search party never found him. That's just weird.
He wasn't that far.
No. Trucker pulls over.
Okay.
How did the trucker pull over in that right spot? And find him. I'm not saying he's got anything to do with it. He doesn't. But I mean,
I
it's
mean, yeah,
just,
how many people, okay, not that, I'm cop squad on the side of the road all the time or anything, but how many times do you go out there and then you go, looking around at a mountain of leaves in a corner? I mean, I guess I don't know if it was, something else that kind of caught his attention. So Second Star thinks that 2 months wouldn't be that quick to decay, though. A very, very small baby, sweetie. I don't know. I mean, I'm no doctor. I'm not a forensic scientist. We're here just discussing, hypothesizing with, along with you guys, and we'll do it for a few minutes more. So, yeah. So let me see if there was any other strangeness with him. I mean, they escaped. They left America, and they were always about escaping, right? They were always trying to hide from the
yeah.
public, and so it's so ironic that they're trying to hide, yet they have a place right there, yet they still had enough privacy. You saw the size of that mansion,
Hmm.
yet somebody was able to put up that ginormous ladder. Nobody noticed. Um, in the awkwardness of that ladder too, because it's like all rigged up and only one plank. They just found one plank that matched that ladder, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't like all the wood came from the garage over at Hopman's, right?
There was a plank, and then they're
One
trying to say,
plank.
yeah, yeah,
When he was questioned, he said for sure he didn't have anything. He didn't have anything, knowing he
that's
was
true.
gonna get searched. And then they go to his garage, and one plank matches that particular piece. That seems so
Yeah,
obvious. Like, why not put a neon sign at your garage that says, I did it? But it's almost too obvious,
so
right?
he wasn't completely gone because the dad and the baby's nanny went in and said, "Hey, that's him." And then ASAP, the dad wanted him, what do you call that? Didn't want to bury him. He just wanted him.
Oh, he wanted it cremated, right?
He wanted him cremated
Yeah, he
ASAP.
had him cremated.
So, I mean, maybe it was
Mm,
grief. Maybe it was, I don't know that part.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, and there's details. We're going to be respectful. There's details that, maybe there's some things are just so horrifying you don't want to face, you
yeah,
know,
maybe.
and
Exactly.
that's why you make those choices. So we do need to, you never know unless you put yourself in that place.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
um, anyway, so any last thoughts? Because we're almost how long? We're at an hour, and we go an hour because we like to just kind of keep it cool. What
Let's see.
any other thoughts? I'm chatters. Let's see. Let's make sure. Let's see. He couldn't be that stupid. He was set up or working with Lindbergh. Yeah, it just seems like purposely just so silly and obvious. Like, might as well just have a sign that said, I did it, or, write a
Yes,
book
I
that
think if
says,
he was,
if I did it.
If he was
If he
working
gets
with
that
Lindbergh,
reference.
why didn't
Hmm.
he say that? Why wouldn't he, like, he just kept saying, I'm not guilty, I'm not guilty. Why wouldn't he
Yeah,
say
I
that?
don't. That's.
So, well, I don't know, we're
That
never
was
going to
one of
know
those
that.
things that I was the same way. I'm like, if it had, not that so weird to even say you put yourself in that place because it's such a
Yes.
creepy place. But it's like if you're in a deal together, I mean, but you're gonna die. No way, no way. He would have had to try to save himself, and the only way to save himself was to bring down Lindbergh if they were in it together. I now, but he just did such a poor job at defending himself. So if he was innocent, he just did a very bad job at how he explained things or didn't explain it. He was on the stand, and he was, the prosecution were ripping him apart. And he was just like, and it's all always led by, remember, who was driving the prosecution. He was driving the whole investigation or whatever. Who was behind it or who was put behind it was Lindbergh.
Lindbergh. Lindbergh.
Because again, he could do everything, anything he wanted, even be part of the investigation and be like really hands-on or having some say, in how this went. It's, I mean, I'll tell you my opinion. Shady to me, it still looks like he did it, but I still don't understand. Was it really all money? There's something that doesn't sit well.
Um, the guy it was either greed or it was another way where, I don't know. Was it greed and kidnapping and then it went wrong?
Because
I don't know.
it's like you usually have some kind of connection, right? You usually have some kind of what other. Let's try to think like a computer, right? You know the certain facts about these people. Um, we didn't really know. I mean, about Houghton, we knew that he came into the country illegally, right, from Germany. He was a father. He had a kid. Um, I mean, I don't think that there was anything written about him being a nuisance or a problem or, that whole comment that they made about his face never changing. Well, right there in that shot, like he did have emotion on his face. Not that I'm defending the guy, but I'm just saying you gotta think, you gotta look at things, whatever's in front of you without, blinders. So, I, mm, I don't know. I mean,
Maybe he was framed. Maybe he was framed.
it's just so it's almost too obvious. When things are too obvious, I start to question whether you know they're done purposely. But I don't know. At the same time,
I
I
think
maybe it was just as stupid as, I need some money, I need it quick, I'll borrow this baby and make some money, and
Charmaine,
he
hi
dropped the
Charmaine,
baby. And you see who's here?
Lunar Witch.
Hi. Hi, honey. How are you? So good to see you. So maybe he botched it being Hellman, or maybe this was a very bad joke gone wrong and then framed into something bigger. Because God forbid that the hero would be seen. I'm gonna get in trouble for
Exactly.
this. God forbid that the hero would be seen as flawed.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
hero was not going down. I have
Not
no
sure
idea
what's
why I just say that,
open.
but I'm gonna shut up,
We're never gonna know. We're
I've
never
gotten
gonna
in trouble
know,
too.
and um,
Exactly.
no.
And we have Three Souls Paranormal is back. Well, we're about to say goodnight, but yeah, so oh my goodness, we had a couple more people as well. We had not
Not sure
sure
what's
what's cooking.
cooking.
Not
You
sure
guys
what's
missed
cooking,
it.
but that pink garlic looks really good there. Not sure what's cooking. So, I don't know. I just can't get to, I can't land where I'm saying that
Hey,
I know either way, but there's
should
certain
we?
things that make no sense. Yes,
I know.
please.
Should we ask them what they think?
Yes. Ask the chat. Yeah, give us options. So, okay. So let's see. One is how, Hauptmann did it on his own. Two, Lindbergh did it on his own, and something happened. And three, uh, what was three? There was a three. They did it together,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Or four, somebody else. There's always that option. So one, Hauptmann did it. Two, Lindbergh did it. Three, they did it together. Four, somebody else. Please vote now. This is how we do polls because we have not gotten to 1,000. Did anybody get the instructions? One, Hauptmann. Two, Lindbergh. Four, we already have one. Four, Hectic Cindy says other. Someone else. Very possible. And maybe, no, the framing, the money, the bills being tracked because they were used, I don't know, maybe together? Okay, Meg says three, basically, maybe together. The scale, Stuart, I didn't catch the scale. One, Hauptmann did it. Two, Lindbergh did it. Three, they did it together. Four, someone else. Yeah, second star's got a good point. Hold on, let me see. I think Stuart said the same thing. True Stuart, let me start over here and then read. Yeah, I don't know. History has turned on Lindbergh, but that doesn't mean he murdered his son. But I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. Very good point. And then follow up. True Stuart, I just believe it was a prank gone wrong. And why not use a neighbor with so quick cash? Interesting. Okay. Anybody else want to pipe in before we start to say goodnight? We're going to talk about our show next week. You want to talk about our show next week, Cassie? While we wait
Yes.
for people to.
So next week, guys, you don't want to miss it. We're going to be covering the Amityville. I can't even say it. It's hard for me to say
Amityville.
it. Amityville horror house, the murders.
Tommy. Tommy. Hi, Tommy.
I'm excited for next week.
How are you? Me too. Me too. I'm super excited. Let's see. Anybody else want to vote? Do you think who did it? Do you want to pull a couple of cards? Or are you ready to wrap up? You want to do a couple?
So what do you want me to pull from?
Let's do one for the collective, for the whole group. Let's just do that way because I know that it's getting a little late. I want to make sure
From the same deck?
Oh yeah, let's do a Sacred Forest reading. While you guys think about number one, was it Hauptmann? Number two, Lindbergh. Number three, it was a combo. Or number four, other person.
Carol thinks it's one of the parents.
Carol thinks it's one of on Amity what on one like that it was Anne or Lindbergh? Yeah. Ooh.
Here's our Lenny.
Okay, let's read that. Hold on, let me put it in big screen. The pores show.
See it?
Yes, air spirit. That's pretty. Oh.
Knowledge. It's really pretty.
That's beautiful. That's so pretty.
Lenny, we'll make sure you're a mod. Is she a mod? We'll make sure you're a mod. Next time you come, we'll go fix it.
Yeah, I need to. Who's not a mod? Lenny. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, read that. Oh, I'm gonna need to get rights on the YouTube side, but we'll make you a mod. We'll fix it.
I gave you all the information, but I'll give it to you again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it out.
I'm sorry.
All right, here we go.
Okay, sorry.
As you stand in the corner of the forest, a subtle breeze lovingly touches your cheeks. Gentle gusts rustle the leaves above you as the spirit of air approaches upon your boat of light and wind. In the quietude, you sense the wind whispering messages to you from the spirit. You receive this card when you need to think things through. This is not the time to be impulsive, and do not react instinctively to situations and people, and take into considerations all points of view. Do your research. Take time to weigh the pros and the cons of every situation. It is an excellent time to begin a new venture or project. It will succeed as long as you are thoughtful, organized, and focused. There is a remarkable wellspring of wisdom within you. So take a breath, slow and deep, and delve into the inner knowledge. It will guide you in the right direction. Air represents wisdom, our mental activity, our ability to reason, and it's also associated with thoughts, intellect, communication, comprehension. Through our breath, we can speak and express ourselves. Our lives begin with our first breath. So air is connected with new beginnings. The spirit of air oversees friendship, clarity, and positivity, focus in life. So take a moment to think things through. Think as well as feel the right direction. Get clarity and become focused before stepping forth. Take care to have thoughtful communications with others. I like that.
I absolutely, that is a reading for the collective, and that was a reading, but that card could not have been more perfect. Because I think that that's something we just have to be reminded of. Just like think, make decisions, just also, make them with fact, and just think before you speak, to be thoughtful about the
Yeah.
things that you say and do. That's that's beautiful. You doing okay?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I think we did
Oh,
really good. I love it, and I cannot wait for next week. I hope you guys join us next week. It's going to get better and better and better and
yeah.
better. I mean, not that it's
Yeah,
not
thank
already amazing.
we're really excited about next week. I can't kick, you know, eh, this was a really hard case to cover because that was such a amazing child and such an unfortunate thing. But I'm really excited because next week we're gonna cover Amityville, and I go back to all the Amityville movies. I was like a horror freak when I was young. I was like Amityville was my jam, like the original ones. They were so awesome. So, but we're gonna actually talk about, the crimes, and it's a serious deal, but really kind of the mystery of it. And I'm really, really, truly excited about it. And everybody, thank you so much. Now it's dark showed up
Yeah.
too. We had a lot of people come and go.
Make sure you guys please grab up Mind Forked. Grab it up. Cris is
Grab it,
amazing.
get it.
Amazing.
I'm gonna do like country, get it. No, Mind Forked is gonna be back in 2 weeks with Carl the Crusher. I'm calling it Land of the Giants. Like the show. Remember the show from like a long time ago, Land of the Giant? I was the only one that watched that. I'm a ghoul. I can't help it. I'm broken. I've
Let's
watched
stick
too many horror movies.
let's stick your link in there. I'm sticking your link in there.
Oh, thank you. So, thank you guys so much. So, yeah, we'll never know what happened. We're not here to solve problems. We're here to just kind of talk about it and get you guys feedback and spend some time kind of discussing these incredible mysteries that just, you know, whether it's a true
Oh,
mystery or just a horrible crime, we need to learn from it. The reason we're here talking about it is we need to learn from this. We need to learn human behaviors, like how could anybody, what are intentions? Why, what drives people to these things, so we can become better, because we cannot be this cesspool. So, anyway, well,
I want to
Uh,
say how amazing you did, though. You did so amazing on all that editing and putting the music in.
oh my God, thank you.
I
But your
love it.
voice is inspiring,
Yeah.
dude. Whenever I listen to your readings, because sorry, Mike, I have a clock that talks behind me. I'm like, I gotta wait till he's done telling the time in Japanese, which I'll never understand. But your readings are an inspiration because it's like I read, and then all of a sudden it's like I know what I need to go look from a graphical perspective, and I try to get the period pieces to really more, be a little bit more real footage of what happened, so we can kind of take a journey together there. And I love doing it, and I love partnering up with you
Amazing.
because
Amazing.
you're the best.
I love it too. I love it. We worked good
And
together. We
the
worked so good
new
together.
face of controversy.
So excited. Yes.
Two,
I love it.
I purposely picked two broke girls. Two broke girls on my graphic. I should have
Love
loaded
it.
that up. Well, so next week I'm gonna take us out. Bye everybody. It was so nice
If you
to
missed
spend the
it, guys,
evening with
please
you.
rewatch it. I love you guys.
Yes, like, subscribe, share, comment. The comments are important. I always forget to do that on my show too. It's like I have it at the end, and in this outro, I need to make sure I add it. Just make sure you like it, and yeah, and then we'll be back next week with Amityville.
Thank you.
So hold on, I'm gonna get us there. You guys take care. We love you. Peace, everybody. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Let me turn off this lovely music. Do, do, do. There we go. Okay. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Oops. Oh, wrong one. Let me do this again.